What up, YouTube? It's me, Isaac, coming to you with another edition of my life. Today's episode is just talking about one of my many fishing trips with my brother. So we went to this a different fishing hole than what we usually go to. We usually go to Fort Harrison or Geist, but we decided to go to this place called Eagle Creek, which it doesn't have that many. I'm disabled, as you guys know, and it doesn't have that many wheelchair ramps for fishing, which, in my opinion, is complete bull. But there's only one wheelchair ramp in the whole freaking park, which is bull crap, and there really should be more, in my opinion. The it was a good place to fish, except for, well, actually it was a piece of crap hole that only had, like I said, only had one wheelchair ramp for fishing, which is complete BS unless you there's more, but it's like I want to say it's like a 10-mile hike from one wheelchair ramp to the next, which is not gonna happen when I'm in a manual wheelchair. If I was in my electric chair, I would have gladly gone that extra 10 miles to get to the other lake, but the other part of the lake. But like I said, there's only one hole where one wheelchair ramp if I'm in a manual chair, and on top of that, to get to the blasted thing, you gotta take like a mile long trail that's horrible for a manual chair. It's all trees and all rooted up. There's no way to really get the wheelchair part of the lake if you're in a manual chair, because it's all rooted and bull. And there's like many drops, and if you're in a manual chair like I was, there's a darn good chance you might fall into the lake, like I almost did like 10 times. It's not a good place to fish if you're in a manual chair at all. The place is called Eagle Creek. If I was in my electric chair, it would have been fun as all holy heck. But I was in my manual chair, because my electric chair can handle tree roots and stuff like that. Although it was narrow pathways, and my electric chair can't really handle narrow pathways. But the worst part of it was I fell out of my chair, which I got a video of that, but I still have to edit that, and I ended up having to crawl, and I'd show you my knees, but I really don't want to get into that. But mostly the reason the crawling was crappy was because the shorts I was in were slippery, and it didn't work out very well for me. It was after I fell out of my chair, and on top of that, I lost my freaking milkshake from Steak and Shake that my brother got me, which irritated the living crap out of me. It wasn't it was a beautiful day for fishing if I actually got to fish, which I didn't. That part was crap, and I would not recommend going to Eagle Creek if you're in a manual wheelchair. It's a horrible place to fish because there's only one wheelchair ramp. And, well, there's like two, but they're like 10 miles apart, and there's a bunch of roots and trees and stuff. If you're in a manual chair, that's not good. And on top of that, I fell out of my chair and had to end up crawling. You guys might see that video in a couple of days after I edit it, but this has been another edition of my life. I'm your host, Isaac Brummett. Please like and subscribe. That trip was a living nightmare for me, because I didn't even get my rod in the water until like an hour after my brother and I got to the place. It wasn't fun, and on top of that, I didn't catch anything because by the time when we got to the wheelchair ramp, there was already people on the dock, which they weren't disabled, so I could have just kicked them off the freaking dock if I wanted to. And I really should have, but I'm too nice of a person to kick anybody off of stuff like that. It wasn't a very good fishing trip. Usually my views on if a fishing trip is good, even if you don't catch anything, is fishing's a lot better than working. So even if you don't catch anything, it's a good day. But when you end up falling out of your manual chair like 10 times and having to crawl on rocks and roots like I did, and almost falling into the lake like I did like 5 or 6 times, I don't remember, it was not very fun. Well, this has been another edition of my life. I'm your host, Isaac Brummett. Please like and subscribe.